Oh, clocks need changing again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it's the time of year when they're fucking around with it, and it's 2024. Can we just stop this shit?
I know, it's tiring. It's tiring every time it comes up.
It's so tiring, especially the oven. The oven is just an absolute nightmare to change.
I mean, you're doing a step better than most people by actually trying to do it.
Yeah, you know how it is with some of these, it's like really, really contrived in order to do things.
Yeah, you gotta, hold in the ignition thing that does the lighting click, and you gotta turn it to like the fan setting, and then you gotta hold one of the dials in.
Oh, no. No, if you don't change it immediately, it turns into a vicious black dragon, and you have to hunt it down first of all.
Oh.
It'll be sitting on a pile, a hoard, if you will, of charred bits of food.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be breathing fire. Do you know where I can find a knight this time of year? They say the knights are drawn in, but not the kind I need to hunt down and bring my hob back.
I in that case, no.
Bugger. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet Dale.
I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast where two queer trans women, that's us, we're wifey types, our kitty cat's occasionally here.
She's here, she's peeking.
We talk about media we've consumed in the past week, and do some skits and silly voices and try and amuse ourselves.
Yeah.
How are you doing this week?
I'm a sleepy little bean because they fucked around with time again in the year of our Lord 2024.
They did. I'm a sleepy little bean because they changed the clocks, but also because this is the week of all the things, and
all the things
everything is happening all at once.
Yeah, well, shall we then get on with talking about the things that you played?
Yeah, let's talk about some of the stuff I've played. So, I've not played the full thing, but I've played a bit of it. I went to an event and I played some of the new Vampire Survivors Castelvania DLC.
Oh, heck.
And I can get this one out of the way quick because I have very similar feedback every time I play a DLC for Vampire Survivors.
There sure is some more Vampire Survivors.
There sure is some more Vampire Survivors that is very lovingly made to be very sort of aware of and referential of the property that is being made DLC of in ways that feels natural to Vampire Survivors, but also very lovingly homaging to the original source material. This is obviously a little bit different because I don't think it's going to surprise anyone to say Vampire Survivors, the base game, draws a lot of inspiration from Castlevania.
Indeed.
A lot of the, enemy archetypes, the fact that the very first character you unlock is flinging a whip left and right and dressed kind of like Simon Belmont a little bit, and the sort of floor chickens that you heal yourself with, there's some Castlevania inspiration going on.
What?
And it's kind of wild to play actual Castlevania content in Vampire Survivors. Here are some things I can tell you about it at this moment.
Yeah.
The trailer listed a ridiculous number of characters and weapons and things. I think it said 40 plus new weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen all of them, but I have been told by someone on the dev team that number was a lie. It was an understatement. There's more than 40. Which is ridiculous. I think I was told there's 12 or 13 different whip weapons.
Nice.
Because
those are my favourite.
Fuck it, let's do cool weird whips. Some of them are pretty wild and funky in how they move around.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing that I have really locked in is I like that this map has a real sense of progression to it, like a Castlevania map, where in a lot of the DLC maps it's been, here's 5 or 6 different places you could go to from the starting area. That, they might be big and sprawling, they might be different areas from each other, but, it's pretty open how you approach them. This is a map that, feels like it has an intended progression of, hey, if you go this way, you find the castle, and you can, work your way through the castle like you would in Castlevania, and, on your first run-through of doing the castle, you might defeat an enemy that has a key that unlocks a door that lets you into more of the castle that you otherwise couldn't get to, and there is a sense of, you have to explore and double back on yourself and find things to, over the course of several runs, unlock the full level by doing some Castlevania-esque exploration.
Yeah.
And that is pretty neat. It definitely sets this apart. I won't go into spoilery stuff, but I've seen some interesting boss designs already. That was it the Contra DLC that had like that building you could go to at the end of the half hour, and there was like the big robot that you fought, and you could like walk around on the ceiling and stuff.
Yes,
there's some stuff that feels kind of like that, where it's like, oh, you have like a whole interesting, unique mechanic going on to do this fight, and that's pretty funky. It's nice to see more of that kind of stuff being done. It's more Vampire Survivors for a couple of quid, seemingly quite a fucking lot of it, and very lovingly referential to Castlevania. I will never complain at more DLC happening to this game, and this seems like, in terms of amount of stuff you are getting for the money, this seems to be one of the best value ones they've done so far, and I'm excited about that.
So now, with Contra and Castlevania, how long until we get other Konami properties? Will we be getting a Silent Hill?
Yeah, we talked about this one.
Survives.
We'll talk about Silent Hill in a second, because we played more of it this week.
Yes.
But we were talking about that while playing Silent Hill, and I don't know how you would make, like, the tone and oppressive nature of those creatures necessarily fit with Vampire Survivors, but I do believe in the Vampire Survivors dev team's ability to pull it off, because I trust them, and I would be very interested to see survival horror Vampire Survivors.
Vampire survival horror?
Yeah.
So now that Castlevania is in Vampire Survivors, does that mean there's finally a vampire?
There have been very cagey responses to that. I believe Alucard is a playable character who is a vampire, but I think the response I got from the dev team at the preview event was, nope, that's just our friend Alucard. He's just a guy. Don't worry about it. He's just a guy. Don't worry about it. He's just a guy. I'm curious to see how the game will address it itself or not. Yeah, while we're at it, should we talk about Silent Hill 2? Because we played some more of that this week.
We played some more Silent Hill 2. I think we're nearly finished.
I think we're really sort of getting there.
Getting there.
We're in the labyrinth.
Yes.
So we're making good progress.
Yeah.
They have not shied away from the nature of some of those boss fight creatures.
Indeed.
And they have done them justice without being gratuitous about the nature of them, which I am thankful for and impressed by. Again, this is another week of places where Bloober could have bloobered this up and didn't.
Could have bloobered real hard.
For folks who know the game, I think it's not too spoilery to say, the boss fight where you get a sense of what Angela's fear of, the abstract daddy. Didn't remember that was the name of it? Yes, the thing to do with Angela's fear is a thing that could very easily have been done in a distasteful way. And I think the design is great and gets across what it needs to get across without hitting you over the head with it or like lingering in it too much. Yeah. And I thought everything they did with that boss fight and with Angela around it, I was quite impressed by.
Yeah. We did manage to use most of our ammo in that fight.
We did. There might have been a better way to do it, but the way that boss would, like, if you gave it half a second, it would just fucking charge at you at high speed, like, way faster than I can react to. I was like, yeah, no, I need to just unclip and run and give it my best shot. But
yeah.
We got through it.
We did get through it.
That fight in particular, I was very glad we were on easy.
Yes.
I would not have wanted to be on a higher difficulty for that fight.
I was also enjoying, like, the bit leading up to it. All of that weird shit wandering around the, yet another apartment complex, but also very different in the way that it was more surreally laid out.
Yes.
It felt like it was fucking with, like, space quite a lot, which was quite interesting.
And I continue to be quite into the puzzle designs they've had. I think the puzzle designs have been smart reinventions on stuff that feels thematically correct.
Yeah.
I imagine you might agree with me on this. My biggest complaint is still what it was before, which is I don't think the combat needs to be as constant as it is.
Yeah.
I think it could maybe do with more moments of, I heard a thing, was that a thing I need to worry about, and then nothing comes of it.
Yeah, there was also, like, there was a really surreal moment where we were wandering up and down this same corridor quite a lot because we had like a bunch of stuff to do, and the bodies were just piling up and piling up and piling up, and it just didn't feel very survival horror.
There needed to be more moments of, was that sound something? I'm jumping at shadows, I'm jumping at nothing. Okay, I need to relax and stop panicking at every little sound and let your guard down just enough to get jump scared by a thing.
Well, the other thing that it doesn't allow the soundtrack to do its job as well as the original did. There was one track that I was talking about at the time, like, it was a track that I once fell asleep up a ladder to in a shopping mall at about 2 a.m. Long story. And I was like, yeah, that was the sound I woke up to, just like this terrifying bit of Silent Hill soundtrack going on. And just the fact that in the game it is quite like the music's ramping up. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that there is 100 enemies around you.
It feels like the game was afraid to stop and let itself breathe for worrying that it might be accused of being a walking simulator if there was a while in which you were walking and nothing actively fighting. Yeah. But I think that is kind of a misunderstanding of how you make that setting scary.
Yeah, like the soundtrack does a very good job of adding tension to things and like adding weird and unusual noises which will cause tension. And then like the fact that there are so many creatures is the fact they very quickly get overused.
Yeah.
Like the first time we saw one of those leg creatures climbing up the walls.
Oh yes,
that was quite unsettling because they move quite in quite an unsettling manner, and like they'd been lurking around the place already in a way that was more annoying than anything else.
Yeah,
because it seemed to be like even when you could tell they were there, they almost always managed to get the first hit on you.
Yeah.
No matter what you did.
It's... the game needs to be less afraid of having quiet moments and more aware of the fact that, like, the more you run into a thing, the less scary it becomes just because of familiarity. Yeah. And, like, once it becomes, mechanically I need to do the thing rather than, oh god, what am I going to do if I encounter one? Yeah. If you intellectualize it that much, it loses some of the fear of it.
Like, there's a few really nice moments where creatures like skitter past you, and then you don't know where they've gone. And that tension of where the fuck is it would be, I think, way more impactful to just leave you going, where is it? It definitely came this way, but now it's a dead end and there's nothing there. Did I imagine it?
In the lead up to the Abstract Daddy fight, there was almost some of that captured. There was a little sequence where I kept turning to you and going, I thought I heard a thing, thought I saw a thing.
Yep.
I think I'm jumping at nothing.
Yeah.
Where like there was like a 5-minute period where it kind of got that.
Yeah, it really ramped up the tension very nicely.
And like during that 5 minutes, I don't think I actually encountered anything. But like, what was it? It was every time I tried to look at ammo for a couple of minutes.
Oh yeah,
like
things something like falling off walls.
Yeah, like I would. It happened like twice, and then I picked up a third bit of ammo, like bracing, and nothing happened. But
at that point, you were already conditioned.
But then
to be
I was ready. I was like,
ammo.
I was like, rule of threes though. It's something's gonna jump when I get a thing of ammo. So like, ammo boxes 4 and 5, I was still like, they might pay off that rule of 3 still though.
Yeah,
it was that setting up and making me fear something that wasn't happening.
Yeah,
I was like, that was great. And, like, clearly, Bloober Team is capable of it. They show moments in this game.
They just lack the confidence in it.
And again, I want to see Bloober do better. I want to believe that they can take the things that work well in this and capitalize on them. Because there is proof that they're learning. There's stuff in here I like from them.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? What have you played this week?
Well, I finished Inscription. It's still very good.
Yeah.
And started The Hex.
Yeah.
A game I'd never played before.
Yeah, how... have you played it the whole way through now?
No.
Okay. From what you've played, how would you describe The Hex?
A series of mini-games or short interactive experiences that don't necessarily control super well, but it's a narrative about the narratives of being a video game.
Yeah.
And also about creating video games especially when you get to, like, the Fallout analog of, like, oh, okay, yeah, this is supposedly about a game that never got released, was leaked unfinished, and now, like, the community are modding it. But also, like, people are angry about that. And then there's the RPG section where the main character just doesn't want to be in an RPG.
Yeah, like, the image that I think about when I think about this game is a bunch of knockoffs of existing video game protagonists sat around in a bar together, is the sort of, like, image that I have of this. But it is a story about the protagonists of stories as people, but also a story about the people who make games.
And the executives.
And, yes, the conditions under which games are made.
Yes.
Yeah, I look, I didn't want to tell you too much going into this, but I was like, I think you'll like this. Yeah. I think you'll find it interesting.
Yes, there is a blue guy in, like, one of the very first sections who's... You've got your chef character, and he used to be in a fighting game, but then he was in a cooking game, and he much prefers to be a cook. And it just immediately made me think of Battle Chef Brigade.
Yeah!
But that's not what it ends up being. It tries to do a little bit of a fighting game thing, and, like, look for openings, look for, like, telegraphed moves, and try and, like, respond to that.
Yeah.
And it felt, fine and clever enough, but, like, awkward to control with WASD and a mouse. Even more awkward to control on a Steam Deck. But then, like, I did the top-down horde shooter level, which initially felt like, oh yeah, they're doing the horde shooter now, and then just turned into just a story about the horrors of war.
Yeah.
And other things around that as well.
You can see why, when this game wasn't particularly well known and this developer didn't have any prior games that were particularly well known, being a game critic stumbling upon this, being like, oh shit, I gotta talk about this one. It's prime. If you want to feel smart in a conversation about games, bringing this up at that time was like, you could be like, oh, have you heard of the Hex? It's got interesting stuff.
It's kind of weird when there's moments like you keep getting like a Twitch chat popping up next to the RPG section of the game, and it like lifts names out of your Steam friends list. So initially I was like, "Hang on, did they manage to get this?" But oh no, it's just going through my Steam friends list.
Yeah. Daniel Mullins is a real fan of that trick.
Real awkward for the fact that it's got the original PogChamp face emote in there.
Yeah.
And obviously the type of chat, the quick short phrases in there are very whenever this game was made.
Yes. It is a parcel of time.
Oh yeah, parcel of time. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it more now. Like, the first couple of games weren't really working for me in that. But, like, the turn-based RPG and then the, like, Fallout analog one I've just done, I quite enjoyed. And the Horde mode I quite enjoyed. I don't know how much more game there is. Yeah. Since I think there's only one character at the bar, or two characters at the bar that I haven't been able to play.
Yeah, you're a good chunk of the way in, I think.
I haven't found anything that I would consider an ARG yet, which feels like maybe I'm missing something.
I mean, I think you can play this without finding anything ARG-ish and not be missing anything hugely.
Maybe. I did spot a reference to Game Funa, who are the company mentioned in Inscription as being the company that made the digital Inscription game.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's very peculiar.
Yeah.
Well, what about you? What have you been up to?
I have had a chance to play a little bit more of Life is Strange Double Exposure.
Liffey Strang.
The full game has come out now, so the remaining chapters are available. Ooh. This also means my name is now in the credits.
Hell yeah!
Which, it wasn't when chapters 1 and 2 happened, but if you download the Day 1 patch, I will be in the credits. Hell yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna be really, really minimal in how I talk about this, because I don't want to be too spoilery. Episodes 1 and 2 ended on a hell of a fucking cliffhanger. I have spent 2 weeks desperate to know where this story is going.
Liffey Strang.
Because as much as I did some work on this game, doesn't mean I knew anything about the fucking plot.
Okay.
But yeah, episode 3 has set up even more questions for me. In interesting ways. It has given me some answers, but the kind of answers that just open more doors to more questions. At this moment, there are, I think, 2 episodes left for it to all come and wrap up together. And I'm very, very, very curious about it, because it... How to put this? I feel like a lot of the Life is Strange games have been very focused on, like, here is a story about making choices where your protagonist has some kind of superpower or some kind of supernatural ability, and those other... it seems like these stories, whether they're connected or not, do all exist within the same universe. Like, there's references in Life is Strange 2 that you can find, like, a note, like a newspaper with a reference to what happened to Arcadia Bay in the first one and stuff. But they've all been a little, like, they're happening in their own little pockets.
Yeah.
This feels like it might be the first game in the series to acknowledge, more and more of these events are happening in one setting. And that is probably not something that will forever be isolated in its stories. Acknowledgement of the fact that weird stories have popped up around America involving different supernatural things.
Oh shit, you're having your X-Men moment.
I don't think... I'm not saying that necessarily, but I think it is becoming impossible for characters in Life is Strange stories to necessarily ignore that maybe other stories are happening in America that I think is interesting. And I'm curious where they're going with that. I am curious whether they are trying to build to something specific, or if that is just flavor. But it does make for an interesting change in approach, and I'm very curious where the next couple of episodes are going. Reviews for it have been all over the fucking shop, but right now I am fascinated by it. I am very on board with the character writing, very invested in the wider narrative, and very, very amused at, Max said shaka bra in this episode. The thing from the first original Life is Strange of trying to be cool, being like, yeah, that's cool, shaka bra. Shaka bra. And, it was awkward in the original Life is Strange when she said it, and no one pointed it out. She says it in this one and someone goes, cool. Wouldn't have said it weird like that, but sure. And I'm like, thank you for acknowledging the weird word choices.
To say shaka bra?
It's apparently this one character did not think it was hella cool to say shaka bra.
Well. Do you need a shaka bra?
Yeah, I am desperately trying to make time to play through the last couple of episodes so I can see it through as quickly as possible, but right now, I am very on board with what the game is doing, while also totally understanding why it has been divisive. It is making some wild swings for the fences, and I know that certain people are just gonna go, no, but I want it to be different, and I'm like, yeah, but if you can get over that, I think it's real interesting what they're doing. You gotta get over your preconceptions of what it was gonna be, and go, this is what it is. Let's get into it. So yeah, Life is Strange. I'm working my way through. I'm very curious how it's gonna end. What about you? What you been playing?
That's about it for me.
I played a couple of other things I can very quickly touch on. Slay the Princess is out on consoles with some additional content. It's called the Pristine Cut.
Yeah, I think they added that concept to the base game as well. So
I believe so. Yeah, for anyone, we've talked about it before. Slay the Princess. It is a visual novel where a narrator, who is voiced by Johnny Sims from the Magnus Archives, tells you, hey, you gotta go in that house and go in the basement and kill that princess or the world will end. No, I won't explain to you adequately why. Trust me, go do it.
This is the narrative, and I'm the narrator. Go do the thing.
It's a little bit visual novel, horror, Stanley Parable, kind of.
Yes.
In that it becomes very quickly apparent there is a narrator giving you instructions, and depending on whether you listen or not to the narrator, and do what he says or not, and to what degree and in what ways, things will occur.
Yes.
That game continues to be fantastic.
Indeed.
That is such an interesting narrative to unravel.
With an excessive number of endings to try and find.
The first time that you sort of pull back the curtain and see the larger thing going on is a bit of a trip.
Yes.
I continue to think that game is beautifully written, beautifully acted. Go check it out. Go check it out. It's worth picking it up.
Hell yeah.
It's a great game. The last one, I've been starting to play Sonic X Shadow Generations.
Ooh, this is the one with the finger guns, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So, half of this is a remake of Sonic Generations, which was the game from, 10, 15 years ago, I think now, God. Where half of it was, side-scrolling Sonic levels as, classic Sonic, and half of it was 3D behind the back perspective ones as, modern 3D Sonic. I've not touched the portion of this that is a remake of that at all. All I have been playing is the brand new campaign about Shadow the Hedgehog that seemingly boils down to, hey Shadow, I know you're edgy as fuck. You have trauma and your entire identity is edgy the hedgy.
Yeah.
What if we threw you in the therapy dimension and you had to work through your trauma via the medium of running around at the speed of sound, got places to go, got to follow your rainbow?
No.
And maybe you deal with your trauma and be less of a edgy hedgy.
No, he'd be edgy and the hedgy in an Aldi.
I am at Aldi, which is definitely what that song sings, and not I am all of me. Yeah, that is some of the best Sonic 3D Sonic content I think there's ever been. The Shadow portion of this game feels like the Sonic team finally understand how to make good 3D Sonic levels that have a good sense of momentum, that are not overly, you ran into a thing before you had a chance to see it, that control nicely, that have good amounts of, dynamic camera shifts throughout the levels, and that don't overly focus on there's enemies you have to bounce across constantly, slowing down the pacing. Being able to incorporate things like verticality and multiple different paths of different verticalities through a 3D level.
Nice.
Honestly, pretty impressed. Nice. It feels like a pretty good era to play Sonic games at the moment, honestly, and that's kind of cool. Having a good time with that. I don't have time to play more of it, but it's on the back burner of when I have some time or when I'm traveling, I'm gonna love this. But I need to put it down because I've got too many other big things. But I'm having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah!
Is that everything we've played?
That's everything we've played.
Well then.
Time for this. Hello and welcome to Cooking for Pleasure. Today, my guest and I will be making some delicious tasty treats out of absolute abominations found in the kitchen. How are you doing?
I'm alright.
Could I interest you in a nice cookie?
Well, that sounds lovely.
What do you think of these cookies? Do they look good to you?
Oh, they look and smell...
Don't they? They look and smell good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels warm and comforting.
Yeah.
What if I were to tell you that these were in fact laced with raisins? So what we're going to do today is instead we're going to make a lovely upgrade to this, cooking for the betterment of all. We're going to remake this exact recipe, but we're going to take out those terrible raisins and replace them with chocolate chips.
I mean, I kind of like raisins.
For the betterment of everyone! Chocolate chips, tasty nom. Listen, if you keep playing along, we'll add some cinnamon and maybe some...
Okay, I've never liked raisins. Chocolate chips, yes.
Thanks for coming along to Cooking for the Betterment of Everyone, where we make everything better by adding more chocolate chips. Chocolate chips.
Right. People are really not enjoying yet another year of us turning the clocks back and forth and back and forth.
No, they all seem to be getting more and more cross with us every year.
So, look, it's not like we can just cold turkey stop the whole thing. That would cause all sorts of problems.
Unless we did.
Well, I've been working on some compromises that might sort of get us there in slightly easier manners. Maybe we can sell them on a bit easier.
Right, yes.
Maybe, let me start. Maybe we split the difference and just be offset by a half hour. We spend the whole year half an hour offset from the times of the rest of the world. Like, everyone else is ringing on the hour, we're on the opposite half of the hour.
And then then the rest of the year with the other half of the hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, no, I was just going to say we stay halfway between what the two time zones would have been.
Right.
We just sort of stay in there.
So we're always there.
We're always like half an hour away from what would be ideal amounts of daylight.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, worst of both worlds, as it were.
Right. What if instead we added an hour slowly over the course of 6 months, and then removed the hour slowly also over the course of 6 months?
So
people
like
would have to change the clocks ever so slightly every other day.
So like every month you turn the clock like 10 minutes. Once a month.
Something like that.
I mean, it would throw the body a little less, I suspect, a little less drastic.
Yes.
Okay, well, what if we do give in and we do stop moving the clocks back and forward, but we, like, keep the option to go back an hour in our back pocket? Like, we have, that hour we could have gone back, we keep it, and we reserve the right to go back an hour at some point in the future.
Right.
So that if, like, the country is running late on a one-off deadline, we can turn the clock back an hour and have an extra hour to finish it.
Right.
Like
New Year's.
Yeah, we do. I do that. Well, that's not a bad one.
Two New Years.
Yeah. We can get a year into the future that way.
Yes.
I think that's how it works.
Maybe.
Yeah, we keep the extra hour in the back pocket just in case we really need it.
Yes. What about universal time? We just standardize time across the whole of the globe. It doesn't. You get up at whatever time you get up. You go to bed at whatever time you go to bed. You just change what time getting up time is and going to bed time is.
Far too convenient. Can't be doing anything nearly that convenient. I think you might need to be removed off the committee. You're coming up with ideas that are helpful to people. That's not what we do here.
Unhand me. No, bugger.
Right, new plan. 12-minute offset.
I think that's a very good idea.
Thank you. I like people who say yes to my ideas.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
We watched a film together.
We did. We watched the almost gay enough Venom 3.
Yes, we watched Venom: The Last Dance, a film that had reviews all over the shop. Did not know what to expect going in. I think we both pretty enjoyed it with some caveats.
Yeah, there is one scene that we managed to write a better version of, or a scene that was clearly missing that we added in.
Oh yeah, no. We look, if you've seen Venom 2, you'll know that, like, this series of Venom films has played with, like, romance tone between Eddie Brock and Venom.
Yes.
And we are pretty convinced that the thing this film would have needed to make it, like, a 10 out of 10...
Okay, so there is a scene in the film where Eddie is in the back of a minivan with some people. I'm not going to say any more than that, but there is a moment where he falls asleep in the back of the minivan, and all it needed was a very sincere insert of
somewhere that's green.
Somewhere that's green from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, but with Eddie Brock and Venom.
It's Eddie and Venom.
Yeah, because, like, look, I think this film is, like, it's fun, it's got some like, good followable action sequences. The dynamic between Eddie and Venom continues to be really fun.
It just needed to be a bit gayer.
Yeah.
A bit more aggressively gay.
I think it makes some dramatic choices about how to end.
Yeah.
And I don't think it did enough in the film to sell its choice of ending.
And I think Somewhere That's Green really would have fixed that.
I think it needed just one... It needed one sequence where it's undeniably, this is what's at stake for these two.
Yeah.
And it just needed to really, like... Because we joked before seeing it that there needed to be a scene where Eddie and Venom banged.
Yeah.
And, like, coming out of it, I'm like...
Let me, Eddie.
Right. And I'm like, I know it was never going to happen. But a dream sequence about Somewhere That's Green, I think very realistically could have happened.
Yeah.
And would have achieved the same... There are stakes for these two. They love each other. There's a future on the line.
Yeah.
They needed to give us what the future they were rooting for was.
Yeah, where's their TV dinners?
Where is their TV dinners and their bedtime 9:15?
And their little kids.
Yeah, watching I Love Lucy. And
on a big enormous 12-inch screen.
Yeah, exactly. It just needed a little cheesy sequence to go, here is what is at stake.
Right?
Because, like, you can see them like, trying to drop the seeds of what will be lost if things go badly, but they don't commit to it enough.
Indeed.
They float ideas, they don't go as far as being like, I would really love that for the future,
Right.
so that there's a future to fight for and or to risk. And
So when this comes out in some sort of digital format, I will be editing somewhere that's green in there clumsily.
Yeah, maybe some JPEG sliding around the screen over the characters, and some badly redubbed voices.
Ooh.
But I genuinely think that will, like, take the film from pretty good, but, like, the ending fell a little flat, to... It's like... Because that's the thing, I don't think...
Oh my god, they missed their chance for plastic on the furniture.
Because the thing is, I don't think you need to change the ending. All you do is you add this scene in, and you flash back to this scene once at the end. You have, like, a second or two of the somewhere that's green be near the end. I think perfect film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a film that felt like it was trying more to set up sequels in some ways than it did to be its own conclusion.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that is a little to its detriment. I think it is a fun film, but you can see where the marketing machine needing the franchise to continue got in the way of this film's own goals.
Yes.
And I don't think that was enough for me to not enjoy it, but...
No, indeed.
Yeah.
It just needed a little bit more.
Just a little bit more.
It just needed them to settle down and live together and, all that good stuff.
Exactly. What about you? What else have you watched?
So, you may or may not be aware that the Adult Swim short Too Many Cooks is a decade old.
Oh, don't like that I know that now.
It's now a decade old. Gonna have to live with that.
God, yeah, so I guess that must have come out, like, just before Pogquisition began. Oh. Yeah, no, that does make sense, but god damn, I don't like that.
Too Many Cooks. So this is an Adult Swim bit. I never watched Adult Swim, so I don't really know how that channel works, but from what I hear, it did some wacky shit at random times of the morning for people who were clearly a bit bollocksed.
My understanding is it was the nighttime of Cartoon Network. Between, midnight and 6 a.m.
Yeah, for high people who want to watch cartoons.
Yeah, do you want to watch, slightly adult cartoons in the middle of the night? And just occasionally, they will do something weird to fuck with people who are high. Yeah. Particularly in the era where people, didn't have the ability to, rewind TV and easily record things. So that you'd go, the weirdest fucking thing happened on TV last night, and no one will ever believe you when you try and explain it to them.
Exactly.
Fucking weird haunted infomercials, or, stuff they've done in recent years. They had one where, there was a character that started showing up in reruns of episodes of animated shows in the background, running from a thing trying to capture it.
Right.
And, very well animated to fit the style of the show that it was happening in.
Yeah.
To be, being chased in the background of scenes across shows. It was, leading to a whole thing. But yeah, Too Many Cooks... I imagine
there's kind of iconic.
I imagine there's people today who haven't seen it because it is a decade old, yeah.
So, this is a bit that starts off as one of those sort of very 1970s, 1980s beginning of a sitcom, an American sitcom, where they're, going around a house showing the different families, members of the family, and, the actor's name under them as they're just living their lives. There'll be a moment where I'm just going to push my glasses up my face, actor's name, pause on that. Now we're going to do someone's in the kitchen. Then we'll have a little pause and an actor's name there, and it goes on for 11 minutes. Introducing more and more people. At one point, it's a cartoon. There's some murder. There's a space thing.
The boundaries of the thing erode quite spectacularly.
Yes. While this theme tune goes on and on and on and evolves and swells and changes.
I'm just remembering the little cat puppet crawling on the kitchen floor.
Yes.
Just reaching out. Oh.
Yep. Gotta get there.
Yeah.
Gotta reach it.
Yeah. There's too many cooks.
There's too many cooks.
Too many cooks.
Indeed. So I watched that today, and Then someone who apparently knows more of these Adult Swim infomercial things linked unedited footage of a bear.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know unedited footage of a bear?
I am aware of unedited footage of a bear.
It opens with some footage of a very adorable, chubby-looking bear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, look at the ears, look at the little ears. Oh. And then it seems to go into a YouTube ad with like a skip ad button at the bottom for, is it like Claridin, I think is the product name?
Yeah.
And it seems like it's advertising itself as maybe an anti-hay fever, maybe an anti-headache, to deal with the fact that being a parent is stressful and hard. And then the kids seemingly vanish. The main character is in the middle of the street. They stop for a cardigan, and then a clone of them goes and beats the shit out of them and then reverses the car out of them. Over them, and more and more and more chaos happens until it's over. And apparently these things just used to happen at like 4 a.m. on Adult Swim. So now I'm curious to watch more of them, because
there's
it seems like it was quite a time.
Yeah.
I had no idea that this was more of a thing, but I'd obviously I think I've talked about Too Many Cooks on here at least twice.
Yeah.
It's weird how these things sort of float up here. I wonder if the last time was 5 years.
Yeah, it's Adult Swim. It's fascinating when you start going down the rabbit holes of weird things they've done over the years. One of the ones they've done is like if you start looking into the things they did for April Fool's Day for certain years,
right?
They have historically put a lot of effort into way more energy than there should have been running gags. Right. You know, some years it'll just be like, we're just playing the same one episode of this thing on loop, on loop, on loop. Sometimes they put more effort in, like, it seems like we're running an evening of programming, but it's all in the wrong language, and then stuff starts to warp throughout the night and change, and shows aren't rerunning the way that they originally aired. Yeah. Like, they've done some fun spookums.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, what about you? Have you watched anything else?
Not really. It's been a lot of trying to get through work stuff. I am continuing my very slow one episode every 2 weeks rewatch of Wandering Sun, and that show continues to be incredibly fucking trans.
Still finding all the things you didn't spot the first time round.
Oh, 1,000% yes. 4 episodes in, thing I did not remember this show featured was adult trans woman in a happy, stable relationship with a cis man husband, just living her life, being in a relationship with person she knew since like very young at school before she transitioned, who was like the person at school that like never bullied her and always made her feel like good and accepted.
It is possible. We aren't all lesbians.
And like friendship that lasted, and then she came out and they got together and they're still together, and it's just like a very nice, stable relationship. And also trans woman and trans man going like, hey, I'll give you my name if you give me yours.
Yeah.
Hey, you recently had an issue where you were like playing around with like girl voice, and you didn't know what name to use, so you used your sister's name, and your sister walked in and was really not happy about that. You use my name, I'll use yours. We'll swap names.
Swap names.
Yeah. And trans characters starting to be like, oh shit, maybe I call myself a different name, and that changed the headspace a bit, because now it's real. Now I have a name that isn't my old one to call myself, that I can think about myself as. It changes the whole headspace a bit. And I'm like, yeah, I am, yeah. Been there, buddy. Been there, friendo.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm enjoying that slow rewatch over the course of many weeks.
Yeah.
You seen anything else?
We watched the final episode of this season of My Hero Academia.
We did, yeah.
What did you think? Was it worth the wait?
I've been very much enjoying this season. It has been undeniably no filler, big war between all of the characters that have been established over 6 seasons is happening. Mm-hmm. Basically every hero or villain is doing something.
Yeah.
Big dramatic stakes.
And to be continued.
Yeah, it is really put in the position of like the 2 final fights are happening. Everything gonna go down in the final season.
Mm-hmm.
without saying too much about the season 7 finale, trying to be spoiler light, I really like the parallels that season 7's finale has with the start of, like, season 1, episode 1. In that show starts with the strongest hero in the world, telling a kid with no powers, hey, no, you can't be a hero. If you don't have powers, you can't be a hero. Seeing him do something heroic anyway and go, fuck it, have my powers, I'm going to do what I can to enable you becoming a hero. To that hero, by long before season 7 happens, All Might doesn't have powers anymore. And watching him go through his arc of, I can't help in this big final fight because I don't have powers anymore, to, well, wait a second, this kid found a way to try and help back then, even when he didn't have any powers. That didn't stop him trying. I should find a way to contribute. And without saying how he finds a way to contribute, I think it's very, very satisfying, the solution that is found.
Spoilers is the PTA.
It's satisfying in that it is a solution that really emphasizes how much this world's greatest hero, symbol of peace, has learned from the kids he taught along the way. Yeah. How much the kids he helped come into their own have ultimately helped him come back into his own. And I think that's a really nice full circle to have seen. Yeah, great season. I'm really digging it.
Yeah. How long have we got to wait for the next one?
No official word, probably I would say late spring, early summer next year, probably. Probably a good 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
I would expect. So
several years.
No, it's they're clocking on with it, but I don't know. There's no date yet.
Well.
Well then.
Time for this. Hey, Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you want to go outside?
I've been known to.
Do you look outside and go, ooh, that looks chilly?
I mean, I think it's chilly. It's that time of year it's probably going to be chilly.
It's darker. It's overcast.
It is. It's grey and it's dark.
It's probably been raining a lot.
It's probably... That sounds like a recipe for cold,
right?
I reckon. I should probably put a jumper and a scarf on, maybe? Maybe some
even
gloves?
a hoodie as well? Maybe?
Yeah, I should probably wrap up.
Yep. No.
Oh.
No, it's actually pretty warm out there.
Oh, God.
You're gonna melt. You're all too hot now.
Oh.
You're all too hot. Now you're wandering around, trying to do shit, go about your errands, but you've got to carry all this extra stuff that you had been wearing, but now you just got to carry it because it was too hot for that, turned out.
Autumn fucked me again.
Autumn fucked you again, unless you have this week's sponsor.
Oh, who's that? What's that?
Do I need a jacket? .lol.net.
Tell me more.
Well, it's an app, right?
Yeah.
And you go, do I need a jacket? And you turn on the location services, and it's be like, yeah, you need a jacket, it's pretty chilly out there. Or, no, you good. You good.
It's literally just, I open it and it's like, it's green or it's red. It's or whatever colours you customise to. It's just, yeah.
With more of like a chill orange and a light green. So it's sort of like, it does a little autumning. If it's getting too cold, it'll go more of the little brown. You can tell how it's being more the far side than the green side, you see. I mean, that might seem like the opposite of what you would think, to go, is it too hot, is it too cold? But it is being like, hey, is it more need the thing? See here, what we need right now is a poncho. Don't take an umbrella, it's too windy. Have a little poncho, and you're going to get wet, but not too hot.
I'm looking through the settings now. I'm literally just going to set it to the setting where I open it. It just says yes or no. Single word. Do I need a jacket? Yes or no?
Yeah.
That's all I need. Yeah or no?
Set it to do I need a jacket.lol.net, enter the code Q&PS 237, and you can get 15% off the app. It's a one-time purchase, no adverts. Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, we're getting shouted at again.
Right, because we're making so much money and we're so cool.
No. So, it has been noticed. We tried to sweep it under the rug. Literally everyone in a high-paying position here is cis straight white man.
Hey, we got that assistant girl with the hair and the pronouns and stuff, right?
Well, yeah, but like no one important. Like no one important.
Yeah, no one
you know,
important.
no one important, and it's been noticed, and apparently blah blah blah. They want us to do a diversity hire for the executive team.
But I don't want to share the boardroom.
No, well, here's the thing. I got a plan that means we're gonna have to share it for like a day or two, but
right.
that at worst. So I think we do it.
Go on.
We do the hire. We do the executive hire.
Yeah.
We find someone who ticks as many of the diversity boxes as possible.
Yeah.
Particularly any that like whiny internet men don't like.
Right.
Right. You know the types. So we do that.
But also the kind of person that votes against their own interest.
Oh yeah. So what we do is we get one of them in, and you know all that stuff we've had like shoved in a drawer of like, if anyone finds out, it'll look real bad on us.
Yeah.
We'll get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
It'll look bad for us.
Yeah,
and
the no-no folder.
Yeah, and you know how like we're constantly a little bit terrified of the no-no folder stuff getting out there.
I try not to think about it by drinking too much coffee.
Well, here's maybe a solution to both problems. Bring in the diversity hire, and then we, slide the no-no folder out over the table and into the public consciousness.
Yeah.
And, we don't point at the diversity hire for being the cause of the problems, but, well, we did only just hire them, and then a whole bunch of problems came to light, and maybe we don't say it.
I mean, that sounds like a terrible thing that they did.
It would be terrible if the gamers assumed that the diversity person did all those things.
The diverson, if you will.
The diverson.
Yeah.
And we have an excuse to fire them and get them straight gone again, and all the stuff in the no-no folder it's gone. It's on them. We have no folder for a bit.
No. You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears?
This is going to be mainly one for you. I've been listening to a lot of stuff I already know because work. Actually, there is one thing we both listened to that I found one track of, and then you found a whole album of, and I have listened through it now. Do you want to introduce people to what we found?
This is MCR's The Black Parade with the Sonic sound font.
It sure is.
Do you want Mega Drive sounds instead of the original sounds? For I guess technically a MIDI version of the Black Parade. Now, I think the bit you sent me was like a little tiny clip from the track The Black Parade.
Yes.
And I was like, that was really fun. I'll give that a listen. The rest of it, now even the creator admits they kind of fucked up the timing on the end. So if you're listening to the full thing on YouTube, the first track is probably not the bit that's going to sell you on it, but the rest of it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. It's good to hear. It was like nice nostalgic sound and that thing I really like.
Yeah,
so, I enjoyed it. What about you?
Really not a lot else. It's, as I say, it's been a lot of lo-fi beats to study and relax to while I work on a whole bunch of writing stuff in the background. But I know you've listened to other stuff. You've listened to at least one new song that I was with you. I listened to it too, but you will know how to talk about it better than I will.
We listened to the new Father Funk track called Roof Breaker. Mm-hmm. This is Father Funk attempting a little bit of dubstep. But it's very funky. It's very funky music. In that good Father Funk way. It's a 3-minute track, so it doesn't go on too long. He likes to get an idea out in one go, rather than doing like full club length mixes of things. So yeah, it's a fun little track. It's very funky. It's got some good wubbies in it, and some lovely sound design if you're into that level of music geekery, and really enjoyed that. And the other thing I listened to, do you remember Problem Patterns?
I do, yeah.
Do you know that they have a remix album of Blouse Club called Blouse Club Land?
No, I did not. I'm assuming this is Clubland remixes of Blouse Club.
This is like
Tracks.
techno mixes of the tracks from Blouse Club.
I had no idea this existed.
Like, most of them don't take a lot from the original track. Like, Turf's Out is like a not super heavy techno track with that just occasionally just goes Turf's Out.
I mean, I'm up for that.
As one should.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a surprising little drop because it just fell into my Bandcamp feed the other day. I was like, "How we've released Blouse Club Land now?"
I'm curious what they've done with Lesbo 5000 now.
I don't know if it's all the tracks from Blouse Club, but I think some of it might be other stuff that they've done. But yeah, give it a listen. It's quite heavy, which is what you'd expect, I guess, from a punk album that's been turned into a different type of music.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's everything I listen to.
Well then.
Time for this. Picture the scene. You're at a social gathering, perhaps a party. Someone walks up to you and is like, "Hi, insert your name here." And they seem to really know you, and they even know little facts about you, and it seems like maybe at some point you may have chatted, but you absolutely have no fucking clue who they are.
Oh, God.
Try social specs. These are spectacles with an inbuilt HUD to tell you important information about the people who seem to know you at a party.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I see. That's Geraldine. We met about 6 years ago. We had a very special moment at a rave while they were throwing up in a bin, and I helped cover them from the bouncers because they were sick, but not kicked out of the club sick at 3 a.m. and would be able to get home. So generally speaking, we're probably better to just be there. And then we just had a really nice chat about, like, you know, looking out for each other and being chill and cool.
I would never have remembered that, but now I don't have to.
I don't have to. Thanks, social specs. Welcome to our haunted house. Are you ready to be scared to within an inch of your life and possibly far beyond?
Sure.
Enter now.
Okay. Cool makeup.
I'm gonna murder you. Run, little girl, run. I'm going to murder you with my chainsaw.
No, you're not. You don't have, like, you're not legally allowed to touch me, are you?
No.
Thought so. Oh, you jumped out so fast. I could never have foreseen it.
Oh, come on, I'm really trying.
I'm sure you are.
Nothing seems to be working. I don't seem to be scared of anything. I've got a really good idea. Give me a second. I can't wait to vote for Trump.
Oh, God. Ah!
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors?
Yeah.
Right, Larry.
Right, B. How you doing?
Oh, being confused by the changing of the seasons and time because they fucked about with it again. You all right, mate?
Oh, I'm alright. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the stuff as the that US presidential election's getting close.
Yeah. They say that we probably don't really have that much to be interested in, from being as we're not actually from America. But I feel like whoever wins or loses over there, if you are going to be the biggest empire in the world, you are going to draw attention from people who are, a little bit worried about just how fascist your leader is.
Indeed. Whether we like it or not, the US does set a degree of... certainly has an impact on global policy making and sort of shapes some of that decision.
Yeah, and if the bad guy gets in, then, there is more chance, generally speaking, of just dangerous people being encouraged or empowered as a result of that.
Yeah. Well, I saw a thing, and it's one of those things where I don't want to fearmonger about it. I don't want to make people fear that it's necessarily widespread, but it's important people are aware of it because there are practical things they need to do about it. But I saw a couple of stories in the last day or two about explosions and fires happening at ballot boxes for people's early provisional ballots.
Yeah, drop boxes. Yeah, I heard some couple being set on fire. One had an incendiary device put inside.
Yeah, and as a result, in a couple of instances across the US, in each of them, maybe a couple hundred, maybe a few hundred ballots got damaged or destroyed. And it's one of those things. I've been talking about it not because I think it's I don't want people to worry that this is going to be widespread or to be it's not safe to vote in advance or anything.
No.
But given the nature of it, it is important to maybe Google the place where you dropped off your ballot and check it's not one of the ones that this happened at.
Yeah.
And if you want to be, confident that your provisional vote got received properly, there are websites you can go to fill in some of your personal info and check the status of your vote and check that it has been received from the ballot box and correctly, marked as it should have been and that your vote has been recorded. And given what is going on right now, some of these states have been so down to the wire on votes. A few hundred votes really could make a difference.
Yeah.
If you voted this way, make sure you take a minute to just check that your vote was not the target of this kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously no one's come forward and claimed responsibility for any of this yet, but it really does say we're confident in our person, whoever has been, taking such action.
I mean, I know who I would put my money on taking such action. No
Indeed,
proof of anything, but it feels like I can probably guess what side might have done so.
Strongly agree, mate.
Certain side that maybe doesn't have much respect for the idea of the proper transfer of power and respectful voting of counting people's votes.
Yeah, indeed. Fancy a hug?
Oh God, I could do with one.
There you go, mate. Yeah. Good hug, mate. Good hug. Right, I think I'm going to have a little lie down.
Oh, sounds good.
Nice.
So, Laura,
Yes?
you do stuff on the internet.
I do stuff on the internet.
Where can people find that?
You can find the stuff that I do on the internet at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere. Laura K. Buzz on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. Blue Sky, that's the main place I'm posting on the socially things. You can find me over there. By the time you hear this, if you're listening to it early access, maybe not quite yet, but if you're listening when this regularly releases, it'll be out there. I've got some cool shit going on this week.
Yeah,
Keep an eye on Laura K. Buzz. Some of the coolest shit I've had to talk about in a while is going to happen. So, keep your eyes open. This is the week for cool shit. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about all my cool shit.
Hell yeah.
And what about you? Where are you at on the internet?
Well, I don't have the unified branding, but I do have a link tree. It's linktree.ee/Janiac, Janieiac. You can find the things I've written, the music I've made, the t-shirts I've designed. You can find my social links. I'm on Blue Sky, and that's pretty much my biggest one right now. I've got a Discord. Message me on Blue Sky if you want to get an invite to the Discord. It's very chill. We talk a lot about Transformers and puzzles and Spider-Man. Yeah, it's a lovely, very chill time. That's pretty much it for me. You can find me at my help support me at patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. As little as $1 a month helps get these episodes edited. Helps me keep on doing the things for your entertainment. That's it for me, Laura.
Yeah.
Would you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.